Hey, everybody. John Wolpert here. It's that time again for the Baseline Show, or, our fancy version of office hours here at the Baseline Protocol community. That's baseline-protocol.org. Go there to get involved. Come on in. The water's fine. Baseline Protocol, baseline-protocol.org. It's good to see everybody here. In fact, a special welcome to Samrat Kishore, who is going to be doing this this for us. This for us. Yeah, I'm hearing myself, guys. We good? All right. We're gonna be doing this next week. I'll be off, and Samrat Kishore is going to run the show. We've never missed a show in over a year, and here's the big announcement. After next week, Samrat will be running a show, the Baseline Protocol office hours in India on a separate time zone friendly to India. So welcome, Samrat.
Hey, John.
Thank you, John.
Before we go too far, just it would behoove us if we didn't remind viewers on YouTube to smash the subscribe button and hit the like button.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
I gotta start saying stuff like that. Yeah, smash the like button, or whatever. Hit that subscribe button.
Smash the like and hit the bell if you want to see all the latest videos.
Do I need some kind of I need a stinger for that or something? I guess I don't know. We're not very.
Hey, John.
Yep.
You should do also on Instagram and Facebook live feed at the same time. I mean, because you might as well.
Or Twitter Spaces, John. That's starting to blow up.
Twitter Spaces are blowing, yeah.
We tried a simulcast to Clubhouse, but that didn't work very well.
Yeah, Clubhouse is kludgy. It's like they're Twitter, Instagram. They have Facebook. Their streaming APIs are robust and work. So it's like,
I am shocked no one has mentioned TikTok. Come on, we
can
do TikTok live as well.
But with your following and with
out for TikTok.
With your following, kind of your overall focus, I do think Twitter Spaces would be a very synergistic.
That's a pretty interesting idea. Okay, well, let's do it. Yeah, that's great.
The one with Jack and President of El Salvador and everyone, and the Bitcoin group had well over 20K yesterday. Last night.
I almost did a dummy spit right there. That's good. That's wow.
Yeah.
All right. So Samrat, sorry about that. Let's go back to the Indian Baseline Show. Welcome. I'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, John. Really excited and I think the first support I need from you guys, all of you here, is to nominate speakers. Get me some stars so you can pull the crowds. And not just about pulling the crowd, it's also about attracting the right talent. So hit me up, send me emails or LinkedIn, anything which is workable. I need speakers.
All right.
Samrat, what time are you going to do that?
So it's going to be 7 p.m. India time. I did some asking around, and nobody really prefers it during the day. So it's always good to be doing it towards the evening when people are done with work. Coders, it's just the days just getting started, and I think we want the people who are those kind. I mean, I myself am that kind. It's just beginning of the day. So 7 o'clock is something which I'm thinking, and there's a lot of there's sufficient overlap with also EST, so that any of you from the western side of the world can also make it to the show. So that's the plan. So Thursdays at 7.
So it's 7 India time would be 6:30 a.m. Pacific and 9:30 a.m. East Coast time. I got the math right. Okay.
9:30 a.m. East Coast time. We could just do it at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time, right? Maybe we should just combine the show if we can do it at that time.
Yeah.
but yeah, let's talk about it,
Yeah.
and let's get the times worked out. We definitely want, it is essential. I mean, I think we've said this several times. You know, you're getting to be a thing when the Indian developer community starts cooking, and
Yeah.
we're starting to see that. And it's important that we are time zone friendly to India. So it's great that you guys are setting that up, you and Bishwashri Day and others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I said before we went live, that there are some pretty. Just was on the phone this morning with a really great brand that should be. I'm hopeful will be helpful in the matter.
Excellent.
Yeah, and as you said, I think one of the things that we, as I've been getting more and more busy starting this new company based on Baseline,
Mhm.
and Jack is building his company, and Kyle, the spirit is willing, but the man is busy, and so he's always like, I'm going to be on the call, I'm going to be there this week, and then something pulls him off. That's a sign of success for a standard and a protocol in
Yeah.
an open source community, but it also means we got to shift gears, right? The new blood's got to come in, and we've got to get a lot more rigorous. So as I think some folks have heard already, we're hiring a new project manager that will be dedicated to Baseline in our company to getting us to V1. Just like we have a new project manager internally to our company that's managing the Jira and doing all that stuff. We're gonna kick in for that. And one of the things that I want them to do is, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I barely announce the show, right? Like people show up because they do it every week, and God bless you all out there. But if we just were announcing regularly what's going to happen, what the agenda is, who's coming, and I think one of the things we've lost, if I'm honest, is this was about answering people's technical questions and helping them get their systems baselining and getting and also contributing to community. And without prep and without an agenda and without specific things that we're teaching people on the show, it's fun, but it's great. But I think we can lift the game. Don't you all agree? So that, Samurai, I think you and I together with the project manager that we're hiring and others, we can kind of lift this up, as you say, so we know that, this week, Tim's going to teach us about how to baseline this kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
right.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
John,
Sure.
we have a lot of not offline, but meetings with big companies that are baselining. Don't necessarily want to come out and talk specifically about what they're doing because it's early for them or what have you. But if we can identify maybe subtopics or little things in those meetings that would be beneficial to the greater community, and then maybe encourage them to come and talk specifically about that,
Yeah. I was actually thinking that for 1 month, we'll just have a theme called "What is not." So, what is baseline not? Just talk about that.
Right.
So, I think that's very important for all of us and anybody jumping on the bus now. So yeah, let's do that. And Ryan and I, we had a very interesting chat before. So yeah, lot of stuff cooking up. And yeah, I had a designer. We've got some fantastic announcements for Baseline coming to India. So
do you have anything you want to show, or it's too early?
Can I?
Yeah, I can put it up. Yeah, share your screen. Or
no,
you can share your screen.
I am.
By the way, John, while Samrat is doing that, quick question. I can understand that maybe companies don't want to be named by name, but what? Even though that I completely don't want, it's not a new product or anything.
Unless
like
they're
that.
working with Provide, somehow they got the magic bullet for getting their clients to actually come out and say what they're doing.
It's like there is no competitive disadvantage for saying, oh, we're exploring baseline. It's like, oh, we're exploring the internet. It's like, or whatever, it's like, it's that is something that is there's no trade secret. There are no competitive advantages compared to others. because it takes
Well,
two to tango, right? So it's
That's
like
true, but I'll
I
tell you,
don't
you know, I was
understand.
on the phone with a VP of a pretty notable brand, and you know, we've been hanging out, and you know, I really like this guy, and we're like, hey, you know, why don't you come on the show? And he's like, look, you know, uh, I've been tagged before by, you know, by going, because they're big enough brand, that, you know, if they come out with any kind of indication that they're going in a direction before they're ready to go all in, you know, he's like, you know, I've suffered the consequences of that before. So yeah, that's the thinking. So that's why I
No,
always I'm very mindful to praise the the um, the courage of companies like Coca-Cola and ServiceNow and others that come out early like that.
Yeah.
There's real reasons not to do it, depending on circumstances. Hey Nick,
Sorry, I got it.
I'll mute him up. There you go.
Thank you.
I can't mute you, buddy. You might want to do that yourself there. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So that, yeah, I think that's kind of the tricky bit there, but I think it's getting better. And as we get more and more into the mainstream, which we are, because why wouldn't you? I mean, baselining is a pretty mainstream idea. It'll, yeah, you'll start to see those announcements. For folks tuning in, there are some big announcements coming, and very frustrating. We can't say what they are yet, but they are there. I think Jack's team's got some big announcements too. I know that Base Ledger's cooking up. I'm starting to get kind of excited about Base Ledger, so we'll see how that goes. Certainly, probably not going to be the only way to place blockchain or baseline proofs on an L2, but I think first of all, it's a good brand name. So we'll see how that cooks out. You want to talk about that at all, Jack?
In development, currently in development. There's some things from a base ledger perspective that should be announced here, I would say within the quarter. That'll be pretty exciting for the community. There's a number of organizations and customers that we are marching down the path of partnership with and working more closely with, and they are certainly warming up to the idea of how we can effectively leverage base ledger in what we're effectively accomplishing here. So it's been the sentiment has been quite welcoming because I think for a lot of people, some have thought that it was going to be something that would be quite different than the way in which we had already intended to kind of build out this overall strategy, but it's very much in line with kind of where we've been going from a provide stack perspective for some time now. And so it's been well received by some of the clients that we're marching down the path more closely with at this time.
Yeah, I'll admit I wasn't sure what I thought about it when I first heard about it, but I still haven't seen it all, so I can't really pass judgment as just personally, right? I can only speak for myself, but I'm starting to like what I'm hearing. I'll say that. I'm very excited to see how it all plays out in the end.
Hey,
Has there been anything in particular that's been it's been exciting or that's kind of piqued your interest more recently, John?
Well, I'll dodge that question by noting that Sam would like to talk. So, Sam, would you want to?
yeah, I was just going to ask Jack if there's any documentation or links he could share related to the base ledger design. I saw the original white paper a few months ago, but didn't know if there were any updates or anything publicly accessible yet.
I don't know, Sam, if it's publicly accessible at this time. That is something that I would need to come back to the community on to give an update on where that stands and when there could be an expectation for that to be public.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, everything comes out in its own time. So, don't rush it. It needs to, we'll sell no wine before it's time, as they used to say. yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that. I mean, clearly we're going to need. I think what Jack, to answer your question before, I think what we're seeing is this. There's things that are kind of faddish, like buying a piece of art with as an NFT, the way some people have been doing. I think that jumped the shark maybe in record time. But things like L2s are really not a flash in the pan idea, and they're coming up, and now they're maturing at a very rapid rate. And as I've said, I'm not going to buy an invoice that doesn't have a baseline proof that is anchored to the Ethereum mainnet. That's my perspective on things. But now I don't have to have all of those proofs loaded onto the actual Ethereum mainnet to get that security or that tamper resistance from the mainnet. So as long as things are so I like what's happening with Arbitrum, as and Optimism. And the nice thing about baseline proofs is that we're not trying to manage tokens with them. They're just proofs on a Merkle tree. They're already as private as you need them to be. So the L2 doesn't have to do much other than keep the costs down and the throughput up, and then anchor the mainnet. Right, exiting is not a big deal. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for stuff. It's a proof. You can read it. Right, you're not worried about getting your money out of it. Right, so from that perspective, I think optimistic rollups for the baseline, for an L2 that's serving baseline community. Or multiple L2s, different, I'm sure that base ledger won't be the last thing out there. As long as they can interop, right? What I would hate to see is balkanization yet again. Yeah. Right? I don't want to see, I've got my workflow and you've got your workflow, and your workflow is anchored to this thing and mine is anchored to that thing, and therefore we have to do another damn integration. That's the whole point of baseline, is we don't have to do that. We need the world's business to business workflows to be more plastic, right? More, it's more Slack-like and less, here, let's spend 2 years getting a consortium up off the ground kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can I ask a very stupid question?
Sure.
If you're doing baseline, why would you use, I mean, what's the advantage of like an optimistic rollup or ZK rollup versus just providing a content addressable anchor hash, right? That points to a Merkle tree where the leaves are the proofs. I mean, why?
That isn't a perfectly good idea.
So my question is, it's like anything that has to do with rollups is you're doing a rollup because you want data on chain, right? You want a proof on chain, you need data liveness, right? Data liveness, and its history, you only need if you have a double spend problem. If you don't have a double spend problem, why the F are you even worrying about that?
No, you make a good point. I would say that there are some double execute problems. Like I don't want the same invoice going to multiple different places to get bought. But I don't think that's exactly the same problem as a double spend problem in a token.
That is similar, but there's there again, you have you're talking about a very pertinent question, which is pledging of collateral, right, to a token. So you don't want to have the same collateral pledged to two financing instruments, aka tokens, at the same time.
Correct.
Which means you need to be able to validate.
You need to use what Sam's been building, right? Sam Stokes has been building a really nice, cool approach to avoiding, that double execute, or we want to make it real hard for somebody to sell their invoice to more than one person at a time.
Well, right. The really key thing is it needs to be public, and it needs to be, everybody needs to put their stuff in there, right? Otherwise you can't, and it needs to be small, and it needs to be efficient to validate. Otherwise you really have a problem, right? Imagine you have at any point in time, you have 10 million, 100 million invoices that are used as collateral or orders, right? Yeah. It's like you can't put 10 or 100 million even proofs on chain. Absolutely impossible. right? You're gonna kill everybody. I mean, people gonna throw rocks and other nasty things at you.
See, that's why people tune into this show, for the hyperbole.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
what we
it's
give
like
people in
it's
here.
like it's
Samrat,
like
make
it's
sure to
like,
make a note of that, right? You gotta push that button.
it's like how can you? It's like ideas how you can make John Walpert the most hated person in the Ethereum
Oh, you don't need to
ecosystem
help me with
overnight.
that. I'm perfectly capable of achieving that by myself.
Oh no, but I mean like seriously, where people are like putting like hits out on you. I mean,
Hey man, don't
that
give
kind of
people
like hate.
ideas. We're on live TV. All right. You made me feel scared now. Hey Tim, you've got a question that you put up there. Lauren Gibson says that's why I tune in. Thanks, Lauren. Tim, you want to ask your question on?
Yeah, hi John, hi everyone. Hope you're doing well. I've been sort of out of things for a little bit, so it's quite nice stepping back in after not being surrounded by the language. It kind of gets you out of the rabbit hole and then sort of helps you to take a fresh perspective. But one of the things that Vitalik often spoke about with rollups is how they can be used for scaling or for privacy. So I'm sort of quite interested in how to get one's head around that. And one of the other things that sort of one of the other things that came out of a few conversations the other day, which I'd be sort of interested in hearing some thoughts on and regarding sort of the language you used here, is that, you know, when you store something on a blockchain, in my mind, it's either publicly verifiable versus human readable. So something that is, you know, like a roll-up is publicly verifiable, but it's not human readable. But the Bitcoin blockchain is human readable and publicly verifiable, I suppose, because it's. But sort of, how does sort of the baseline roll-ups system sort of fit into that sort of scaling versus privacy debate? And like, can you unwind or can you recreate the current state from the if you download the blockchain, can you sort of go back and sort of view the state at any point in time, or is it once it's committed, it's there and it's publicly verifiable, but it's never able to be sort of reused to recalculate the state at any one point, if that makes sense? Maybe my misunderstanding.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first point about baselining is you don't put anything on chain that's gonna give you away, right? So already, if that chain is an L2, and that L2 doesn't have privacy protocols like say zkZK rollups and that sort of thing, right, where we're really going all in, you don't have to worry about that as much with baseline because there's not much being put on the L2 to begin with, right? There's just Merkle trees of hashes, and so you don't have to worry about that strong privacy.
Nice. Yeah, I'm. It's probably a point for talking about offline from this, but I'm sort of London's opening up again, and we're starting to put on some events. So it'd be good to chat to someone maybe who's really involved in the baseline in London about potentially putting on something. Because I help
Go
out.
to the Aztec folks if they can pull their head out of their their screen for an hour.
They are very focused folks, but yeah,
They
Thomas Walton Pocock is a really good guy, and he's actually a signatory to the baseline protocol. So
yeah,
Tom stepped down from Aztec now, but I think Zach has taken his place. So I'll speak to
Zach's
Zach.
great too. Yeah,
Zach's cool. Cool,
great guys.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so so Samrat, let's talk about let's get more. I think that the Indian community, the Indian developer community, is going to be really wanting to have practical, how to do stuff sessions each week, and I think if we can help each other do those, I think that'll be a big deal. And we should have those much more planned and programmed and announced every week. That'd be great.
Yeah. Sure.
And for things like this, like how does an L2, what do you need to do what is the right way to implement an L2 or baseline proofs that will be compliant? Let me make a couple of PSAs here. One is that we are now officially into planning, the final planning for the version 1 production rollout of a production version 1 of baseline, and specifically the specification, the standard is in final development, as well as the so that's being the final writing of the specification for V1, and the interfaces, the APIs, the core, as we say, the core interfaces for baseline that will support the standard. That is, if you're if you're implementing with the core, you can do that with whatever you like. You use the core interfaces, and you adhere to the standards document, and you are baselining. So those are going to be done, and we are pushing to the version 1 implementations of that. So now we're getting into real project management of getting to a final V1 code base, core, and probably a little bit of the reference implementations like BRI 1 and 2. So this is the time, if you're out there and you want to get involved, we're going to be making some final plans and get the roadmap up, and then parse out the stories and the tasks, and get writing. So it's going to be a summer of writing and a fall of getting a V1 out.
Yeah. And making money.
Yeah, and making money. Hey, Sam has a question, general L2 question. Can ZK rollups, optimistic rollups, be used to bundle new contract deployment transactions and targeting of many different smart contracts, or are they only useful for combining small atomic state updates targeting the same contract onto a single larger state update? Sam, you want to say more about that? I know Lucas is on.
Yeah. I guess I've seen ZK rollups used, for example, combining many ETH transfer transactions into one bundle. So instead of updating balances on the Ethereum network atomically, like one at a time, updating account balances, just bundling them all up together and then making one large state update. So I was wondering, could you apply ZK rollups or optimistic rollups to, if I wanted to deploy a bunch of small smart contracts, could I bundle all those transactions up into some sort of rollup? And would that be a good use of it, of rollups to create these many new smart contracts, and additionally maybe create many transactions that are updating many different smart contracts, as opposed to like targeting the same one, for example, an ERC20 contract?
So give a use, like what would you want to do?
I guess for baseline, I was thinking, at least right now, and some of the designs, it's kind of like we're deploying many small shield contracts, and they're like housing these small Merkle trees. So if we had many different baseline users who are interacting with many different shield contracts, could we bundle all of their disparate transactions together into a rollup and then send that onto the blockchain?
So Sam, you mean doing taking transactions from, for example, several different tokens issued on Ethereum and rolling them all up in, as opposed to just doing it for one token
Yes.
at a time?
Yep, that would be kind of the easy transition from how it's currently used, in my understanding, to a little bit different use case. And then one step further might be like, could you roll up new contract deployments, or is that not possible currently?
So do you mean like taking all the transactions done on Uniswap for one token, as opposed to, stretching my mind, and doing it, bundling 1-inch transactions and Uniswap tokens at the same time? Or do you have to do it just for Uniswap? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something similar to that. And yeah, I've never seen like a new contract creation transaction, could that be bundled into a rollup?
Or do you mean when you're deploying a new smart contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't necessarily expect anybody to answer that, but just something I was thinking about.
Lucas, you got any thoughts there?
I'm not entirely sure. I would have to look it up, but my first instinct, based on what I know, is that they have to have something in common. Meaning, you can update a bunch of ERC20 tokens that belong to the same contract at the same time. You can update a bunch of Ethereum Ethereum holdings for a bunch of the same accounts, but I'm not sure that you can deploy several different contracts at the same time. It seems to violate the principle of the CK rollups. But that being said, I'm not entirely sure. I will look it up and I will get back to you.
Okay, so it sounds like all the transactions within a bundle have to be similar type transactions, like targeting the same
type.
Okay.
Same type, yeah. But again, do let me double check that. It does make sense in my head as a use case. I think that would be really cool, actually. I'm not sure it can be done with CK rollups. I'm sure there's a way of doing it though.
Well, in my experience, some of the coolest stuff we've ever come up with is resulted from Sam and Lucas banging their heads together on something. So, yeah, let's maybe continue that conversation offline. Yeah. Hey, Clemens, it's good to see you there. Been a while since I've talked to you. Hope all is well. I think, yeah, but once again, I mean, I think Andreas made an interesting point, which is, why do you need to ZK roll? As a product person, I know what my requirement is. My requirement is I want supremely good tamper resistance, and I'm not going to trust a POA for that, right? Or not a small, side chain. Personally, I want the Ethereum mainnet backing up that nothing has been tampered with. That is my only requirement, right? My core requirement is that if I'm looking at a proof, I know it has not been changed, right? Except under the rules, right? So, or it can be nullified, but it's not, there's no shenanigans on the tamper resistance, right? My privacy resistance, I'm going to use traditional systems of record for, right? My privacy is that I'm not giving out any data. The data stays in my database, right? And so, I don't have a privacy problem on the public blockchain when it comes to baselining because it's already private. All I'm putting is a bunch of nonsense proofs on something, right? So all I need is make sure those proofs are never, ever changed, and I'm never locked out of valid operations with those Merkle trees. Right, those are the only requirements. So how you do that is, whatever the best tool for the job is. I'll be interested to see how Base Ledger applies that principle. All right. What was this, Mark? What was the South Park reference?
It's just that Clem went in there and it's like, hey, it's simple. Roll your own chain, list your token. Step 3, profit. We just don't know what step 3 is.
Yeah. Roll your own chain, list your token, profit. Yeah. No.
It was an episode where you had a bunch of elves that were going around stealing underpants, and they were like, find people, steal underpants.
Profit.
They hadn't figured out the step 3, and they were like, profit. And they were all like, well, they got the first 2 done, but how do we profit?
Indeed. Yeah. Sometimes I see, business plans or token designs or white papers. And I think they're predicated on, the basic economic engine is the assumption that coin goes up. And if it doesn't go up, the whole economics of the system would just fall apart. Okay. So and step 3 would be spend a lot of money and technical resources maintaining a protocol instead of building applications. Nice. I miss you, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. Okay, so let's see what else. It's 12:41, so we're about 40 minutes in. And as I said, we're going to start to really do a lot more planning and set up of the weekly office hours, but also of the path to V1. So really, things are going to start to really accelerate now, and they already are. And yeah, I think that's it's kind of a slow news week, given that we've got all this news cooking that isn't ready to be announced. But here we are every week. Anybody like to give any last words? Sam, Lucas, you have anything you want to people to know about in terms of what's high on the list of maintainers issues or anything like that, or you want to wait for coming weeks for that?
I'm gonna wait to the coming weeks. I am working on some interesting stuff, but I would rather not reveal it just yet.
Okay, I think that's not a problem. No worries at all. Yeah, I think that's it. So it's good to see everybody. We'll take you out on my favorite music, and we'll see everybody real soon. I'll be off next week, as I said, and Samrat will be running the show. And stay tuned for announcements about the India time zone office hours. And with that,
Yeah.
There you go.
See you all next week.
see you, Sam.
Bye, everyone. Cheers.
Baseline.